Hi, and welcome to this week's Mortgage Broker broadcast. My guest this week is Stephanie Leather, and I wanted to get Steph onto the podcast. Steph is from Entrust Remote Financial Services Assistance. Basically, she owns a mortgage admin business. She set up fairly recently. She's been going about 18 months now. And I wanted to get Steph onto the podcast. We've never had anybody before from an admin support onto the podcast. So I thought it was good to get her on. And good to get to know about her business, her background, her sort of journey in financial services. She's been a broker, which obviously helps from an admin support point of view as well. She's very much freelance. We talk about that in the podcast as well from a benefits from a mortgage broker point of view. And yeah, I think it would just be good. I thought it was just good to get Steph onto the podcast to explain a little bit more and look at the benefits of for mortgage brokers working with admin support. So, but before we get Steph onto the podcast, here's Lee with this week's Mortgage Broker Bulletin.
Thank you, Craig. Hope you're keeping well. And welcome to the 4th edition of the Mortgage Broker Bulletin. Thankfully, it's a little bit milder this week than it was last week. Let's get on to the mortgage news. Leads have made reductions on selected residential fixed rates for new mortgage applications and existing client new mortgage applications. TSB have come back again with further reductions. Family Building Society have increased their procuration fees for product transfers. We've discussed this in the office several times, as the work which now goes into a product transfer very similar to a remortgage. So let's hope this continues across the sector. Bit of a strange time of year coming up, especially for smaller firms. We don't know if we're going to be busy or quiet. So instead of just going over that to-do list, why not have a look at your bridging, second charges, commercial, equity release, later life lending, get some meetings in the diary and get those referral routes locked in. Onwards, upwards, forwards, stay positive, and I'll speak to you next week.
Thanks for that, Lee. And now let's just get Steph onto the podcast. So welcome onto the podcast, Steph. How are you?
Hi, Craig. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm very well. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Very good. We won't talk about the weather because we've had that chat already just before we started record. So we won't discuss weather in the northwest right now. So we won't bore anybody with that. I'm very good. Thank you. Yeah. And thank you so much for agreeing to come onto the podcast. Finally get you onto the podcast. I know you've done many podcasting before. I know you was on Tessa and Alex's a while ago.
Yeah, that was my first one. And I've actually earlier this afternoon recorded another one with Tessa. She invited me on their Room 101 chat.
Oh, okay.
Nothing to do with work, just a bit of a rant. It was nice. Yeah, it was good. So I think that goes out on Monday. And I've just had Ash Borland kindly message and invite me on his. So I haven't got a date yet. But yeah, it's exciting.
Excellent. Podcasting out then. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a way to get the name out there, and I know you've all got quite a lot of followers, all advisors. So yeah, hopefully we'll reach some people who perhaps don't know about us and what we do. So yeah, all good.
Absolutely. So first of all, do you want to introduce yourself and explain a little bit without going into too much detail about what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Steph Leather, and I started a business called Entrust last July. And Entrust offers freelance mortgage administration support to mortgage advisors. So the idea is to just free up as much of their time as possible, enabling them to focus on what brings the money into their business rather than spending 60% of their week doing all the tedious, time-consuming admin tasks.
Excellent. That's good. Not too. What I like about that, Steph, is not too much because obviously we want to talk more about what you do and how it came about and things like that as part of the podcast. So yeah, like I said, thank you so much for agreeing to come on. It's going to be interesting. Like we've had a brief conversation before, and it's good. The reason why I want to get in the podcast is just to. We've never had anybody as a guest that you do what you do kind of thing. So I think it's good to get you onto that and talk a lot more, not only about what you do, but the benefits to mortgage brokers and things like that. But let's strip it right back to the. So when I look at your LinkedIn profile, because that's about my limit to the research that I will generally do before, because I like to not have too many preconceived ideas about guests. So, but so it's with over 27 years of experience in financial service industry. So well done, because you've done more than me, and I think I've sort of done enough of my time. So well done, first of all. But how did you going back 27 years, how did you get into financial services?
So when I left school, I'd done my A levels and I knew I didn't want to go to university. I had no desire to go to uni. And my mum said, well, don't think you're having the summer off. If you don't go to uni, you go straight out and get a job. You don't have a summer holiday. So I was circling jobs in the newspaper and, had a few interviews. And the first job that I got straight from school was as an administrator in an IFA's office over in Liverpool. And then after a couple of years of working there, I got a job at the Royal Sun Alliance insurance company. I was there for many years, but they kept threatening redundancy after a few years. And to be fair, I actually wouldn't have minded the redundancy because I'd been there quite a while, but they wouldn't let me go. So in the end, I had been doing my FPC exams just in my own time in the background, just in case this redundancy ever happened. I figured if 100 people are going to be let go from this one huge firm, then I want a foot in the door ahead of everybody else. So I did my full FPC, and then I did my mortgage exams as well. And then in the end, I just left there and left to be a trainee mortgage advisor. So got a job in an estate agent who trained me up as a mortgage advisor, and then I moved to a couple of different firms. Eventually went into a self-employed role, doing mortgage advice. So I did it overall, mortgage and protection, whole of market advising for 7 years, but that ended about 10 years ago. And then I went from there into sort of contracting for the likes of Deloitte and Barclays and dealing with like mis-selling complaints and things like that. And then I went away traveling for 18 months. We went on a round the world trip on my own. I'd saved enough from the contracting to fulfill a lifelong ambition. So I went away. And then when I came back, I ended up getting a job dealing with missold final salary pension scheme transfers. So I was doing that for a while. And then somebody who I worked with said he was going to set up his own firm doing that and I should go to work for him. And I won't go too much into that, but it was we ended up going into partnership together. Didn't work out. It wasn't a good experience. So I had 3.5 years of quite a difficult time with that situation. And I just I knew I wanted to escape that, and I wanted to set up something on my own that I could do from home by myself. And I had a friend who had been a virtual assistant, more sort of like basic admin, and I just quite liked the idea of that. And I thought I could niche further down and use my skills within financial services, see if I can just use that to help people in financial services. And I thought I'd have to cast my net quite wide to get clients. So I thought I would have to help IFAs, insurance brokers, and mortgage advisors, even though mortgages is really what I'm most comfortable with. I don't really like pensions and investment side of things. I just found I was getting a lot of inquiries I was getting enough interest from mortgage advisors alone for me to just niche down even further again into that. So Entrust was born last July. I got my first client last September, and it's going well. I realized in about February of this year that I was getting quite full, and I thought it would take me a while to get to that stage. So there's obviously an appetite out there for the service, which is good and a relief to me.
I think I think we'll go back to delve a little bit because you've scared over a little bit. There's a few things I want to sort of just, obviously you got into mortgage like financial services quite some time ago. You have done broking yourself, which I do want to explore a little bit, because obviously that is a big benefit of doing what you do, because you've seen the other side of things. Yeah, exactly. But you're right. I think when you look at, you'll have different types of mortgage brokers, different types of business owners. And I do see that you've got the ones that will just do it themselves and always done it themselves and don't like anybody else sort of going into anything with that. And I've sort of seen that sort of firsthand. But then you've got people that do full on recruit and have an employee in the firm or employees in the firm to then to do the administration side. But then from your point of view, I think there'll always be a need. I think there's always going to be a need. I think you just fit in nicely with regards to that freelance, like you said. You've titled that in terms of the freelance side of things, which we'll come on to, like just gives the brokers and the business owners that bit of flexibility of
Absolutely.
with regards to admin support. But let's just so going back, so broking, you didn't put you off enough before then the first time because you said you was an estate agency broker at one point as well.
Yeah, so that's where I was trained in an estate agency, a local firm in Hoylake. So the advisor there trained me up, and I had to sort of shadow him and go out on appointments with him and stuff. And then from there, I moved to another firm over in Liverpool. And then from there, I moved back over to the Wirral to another firm where they took me on a self-employed basis. So the guy, he had the office, the boss, he had the office and he paid for all the overheads. But I was technically self-employed, and then he would like take a cut of our commission to cover the overheads.
But like the beauty of that, like I said, from your point of view, is you've seen. Well, the other thing is, well, you've been employed and self-employed as a mortgage broker, which is even better. So you are ticking off quite a few boxes there, Steph, with regard to past and experience. But I'm sure you will use those to your advantage when you're sort of talking about and doing what you do day in, day out.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you understand how tough it is, and it just doesn't make financial sense for a broker to be spending 60, sometimes more % of their week focusing on the admin tasks when that time could be most efficiently spent contacting leads, or even networking and promoting your business and doing the things that bring the money in. So, and usually advisors they hate the admin. They don't want to do it, and they'll say themselves they're not very good at it, and they'll say that I can do it quicker than them. So it just always makes sense, I think, to play to your strengths.
Totally agree. I think, funny enough, I've had quite a few conversations with brokers so far today, but two of them have said exactly that same thing, that about playing to the strengths, that they enjoy that customer interaction, dealing with that, the front end kind of thing, and the face to face, the face of the firm, the face of their brokerage. But then what they don't enjoy is that back behind stuff that obviously, but that benefits you because that's where your skills and expertise sort of go in. You don't have a fancy getting back face to face in the broker world then?
So many people have asked me that. I've even had people that I used to work with saying, come back as a broker. But I mean, you never say never. But no, I've always kind of preferred the back office side of things. And also, I think because I live by myself and I'm solely responsible for my mortgage and my bills, I never liked the up and down sort of income. I know like this isn't necessarily a steady stream of income, being because it's still self-employed, but as a broker, you could have a $5,000 month and then your next month could be 500, and then it's so up and down. And when you're trying to pay all the bills on your own, it's quite, I don't want anything that unreliable.
So no chance of going back to broker, but to be honest with you, I get no, you can never say never, because like the thing is you never know, do you? You don't know what, and it's quite funny because that's one of the things I sort of talk about, is that you will always have that skill. Being a mortgage broker, you'll always have the qualification, you'll always have that skill. Nobody can ever take that away from you, and people will always need mortgage brokers. A mortgage broker will always be needed, and certainly I'm not sort of saying in hundreds of years' time there'll be mortgage brokers, because they won't be, but in the where we are right now and for the foreseeable future, there will be the need. And I think that's the thing with it. You're not saying never, but you've always got that to fall back to. So if you ever, and I get the same thing, people, because from my own business point of view, I used to love the face-to-face customer interaction when I first set my firm up, but that went up quite some time ago, and now my clients are the people within the firm and the people that I coach, and that's my clients, and I'd rather dealing with those people than the raw client, shall we say, from a broker point of view. So you never say never, but you know where your strengths lie.
Yes, yeah.
Is that always, like, when you go back to when you was been a broker or anything in financial services, did you enjoy the administration aspect of it? Or
I always liked that bit better. I'm not nervous in getting in front of clients, but I mean, back then I'd be going out to appointments with an AA roadmap, driving down deepest, darkest Welsh, trying to find an address.
The thing with that is, Steph, you didn't even take a breath when you said yes, then you didn't even need to think about somebody like you enjoy the admin side of things. You didn't
Yeah.
even take about. Yeah, you did. Sorry, I interrupted you. I rudely interrupted you, but I just wanted to say you were literally clarity right there. Yes, I enjoyed the administration side of things.
Yeah, but I didn't like being out on appointments in the 2 hours drive away till 8 p.m. and all of that. I mean, it'd be different now because we didn't have online Zoom videos and stuff when I was doing it, so I guess it would be a different kettle of fish. But no, I did always like the back office stuff. I'm quite organised, I'm organised and I'm efficient, and I've got like a little bit of like an OCD brain, so it suits me.
What about that? But you have to be a successful broker that does their own administration, or to be a successful broker, you've still got to be well organized and have the right structure and routine and things like that. But to be doing what you do day in day out, you've got to be very structured. Because I'm guessing you're going to have different. I know what it's like with other firms in terms of processes. I see that from my own business point of view, or the people that I work with and their businesses, and understand. You must have got so many different processes you have to deal with and learn. Look at your eyes, literally.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm like, yeah. I mean, I'm just ever evolving. You know what I mean? It's like because when I set the business up, it was kind of just winging it. Really, I had a bit of a plan of how I thought it would work, and then some things don't work. You evolve and try other things. But yeah, I've got like it's been a lot of plates, especially now I've got associates that I pass work to as well. So that's it's taken on a different dynamic now. So it's not just me doing the client work. I have my own clients, and I also subcontract work to other freelancers now as well. So I have to like manage that team. That's becoming a full-time job in itself, on top of the work that I do for the clients that I've got. So yeah, it's you do have to be pretty on the ball.
But that takes, like I said, that takes that to a whole new level, because it's okay when you are. This is your brand, your business. This is what you've sort of built up for the best part of for 18 months or so now. So you've been building this up. So then to have that trust, to then somebody's bought into you, and so I said, yeah, Steph, we want you to be our freelance mortgage administrator. And then you're sort of saying, that's good, but I'm full right now, but I've got somebody I'm subcontracted into, or whatever the terminology is, to do that.
It didn't sit well with me doing that at the beginning. I'm very much a person who's kind of, if you want something doing properly, do it yourself. I'm not good at delegating, which is quite ironic because it's my job to get complete strangers to put their faith in me as a complete stranger with their business and their work. But I struggle to do the same. But got to a point where, there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much billable time. I didn't anticipate how much of my time the running of the business would take up. So I had no option but to sort of, to grow. In some ways, I can't employ staff because my contract, not at this stage anyway, because my contract with the client says that they only have to give me a month's notice to terminate. So just because I'm full to capacity today, I can't assume I will be in a month from now. So because of that, I don't really want to be committing to paying people salaries when I don't know for sure that I'll have work to fill myself up, never mind anybody else. So going down the freelance route was very, it was an interviewing process, vetting people, explaining how the business works, and that, I can't guarantee that I'll have work for them, or I've got no control over when it comes in and how much there will be, or how long the client will stay on the books for. So it's quite difficult to find the right person for the, to do that kind of work, because usually people just want like full-time work. Obviously, this isn't something that can be fully relied on. So those first few associates that I gave the first couple of clients to, I was very, very nervous. But they do a great job. And I've got 6 that I've been giving clients to since about April now. And I'm really, really happy with all of them. When they were sort of getting full themselves, I started looking for others, and I have found another 5. But then that I was ready to give work to, but the summer holidays really just went very quiet, because everybody's away on summer holidays and the kids are off school and everybody's kind of just really slowed down. So I haven't managed to give them their first clients yet, but the inquiries have started to pick back up now that the summer holidays are over, thankfully. So I was a bit worried in August. I was like, this is very quiet, but no, it's all coming back to normal levels again now. So yeah,
I think everybody's sort of was like that in August. It seems it was quite a common thing within August this year,
Yeah,
certainly how the industry slowed down a little bit with summer holidays and where there's various people have various takes on that. I've got my own take on it, but it's the past now, and the good news for you, like that September has, and it's gone well so far. And like I said, I don't think. Would you ever want to have employees knowing the way that you are? Would you ever want to have that responsibility?
probably not. Ideally, no. But again, I said I never wanted it to be more than just me at the beginning, and then very quickly realised I didn't really have much choice. So I am constantly evolving as the business does, really. So I have to change my mindset and be adaptable and just go with the flow, really. So again, never say never.
The thing you're developing with that as well is like
Yeah,
you're developing yourself and your own skills with that delegation. Like you say, people are trusting you with their process, with their clients, with their brand,
yeah,
with their business. And then likewise, you're doing that now with those, so you understand how those people feel with regards to what
absolutely.
you're doing. And it's double whammy for you because people are trusting you and then you're passing that trust on kind of thing. So it's again, it's yeah, I was just interested to see whether you would ever, from what you've said so far, whether you would employ people. And I'm getting that's I don't think you want that responsibility. That doesn't sound like your business model, to be fair.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it depends. If you've got a steady enough stream of constant inquiries, and I know I could definitely fill everybody, then maybe. But again, it wouldn't necessarily work for the associates either. Some of them are, they don't want full time, or they've got other commitments. So yeah, it's for now it's working. I'll see. We'll review it again next year and see where we're at. But no, I think stick with how things are going for now.
You've adapted well so far, so I'm sure you'll continue to adapt well if your business needs to
Yeah.
do that. So in terms of to get into a bit more detail about what you do, then Steph, obviously not from but just not you personally, from an overall support point of view to a mortgage broker. You're helping mortgage brokers, you're helping financial advisors, or are you just mortgage brokers?
Yeah, I'm not advertising for business from financial advisors unless they sell mortgages as well. But like the wealth side of things is not something that I'm sort of I have been actively seeking. But as I have taken on these associates, some of them have got experience in wealth. Some of them were wealth advisors and in the past, as well as mortgage advisors. So if somebody comes, like I have got a client at the moment who is a wealth advisor, and I've given him to one of my associates because he was happy to take on the work. So as long as if somebody comes along and their business needs or something that I feel one of our associates can manage, and I'll speak to that associate about it and just say, this is what the client's business needs are. These are the amount of hours that they need a month. Is this within your remit? Feel free to say no. And as long as I haven't had anyone say no so far. So I've got more associates that can deal with, every single associate can deal with mortgages. I've only got 4 at the moment who could deal with wealth stuff. So it's not something that I'm sort of massively pushing for. Although having said that, because I'm signed off and approved by Openwork, so because I know how to use Console, which none of their advisors seem to want to do themselves, then I'm getting quite a lot of inquiries from Openwork now, and some of them are from wealth advisors. So
Wow.
I do anticipate there being a bit more that I'm going to pass over to these associates that I've got that can deal with the wealth. But ultimately, no, my main core ideal clients really are mortgage advisors, because that's
Okay.
got the most.
So in terms of, I'm guessing, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing you don't have your typical client. Does what is it different wants and needs from every different kind of firm?
Every client wants something different, and that's why from day one I've said I wanted to try to remain as flexible as possible. I didn't want to just put like a rigid packaged price case together, like I don't know, say like bronze is 50 quid, and for that we submit a dip in an app, and then the silver is dip app and update the client or whatever. Very rarely have I come across anybody who actually wants an end-to-end process, like everything from dip to completion. Most clients just want help with 1 or 2 parts of the process. So for example, I've got some clients who All they want me to do is submit their DIPs, their full mortgage applications, and upload the documents to the lender websites. That's it. But then I've got other clients who absolutely do not want to relinquish control of that. They want to do that part themselves and then pass it over. And then they'll ask me to update their back office systems. I mean, that's the most common thing. I'd say 95% of what we're doing is updating back office systems. So we're constantly having to learn new people's CRMs and all of that.
I was going to say, like, how many CRMs I'm literally, I put a note to myself there thinking,
maybe
I just put CRMs and question marks. Yeah, you must be using quite a few.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes it's good. So, as I say, I've been signed off by Openwork and also the Stonebridge network for me personally. So I've got like multiple Openwork clients and multiple Stonebridge clients. So that's quite good because it's just the one system. You know, I'm not having to learn a new system. Each advisor within a different firm may do things slightly differently. Their process might be slightly different, but the systems that they use is consistently the same. So at least I know what I'm doing, and that saves a lot of time in the onboarding calls. You know, you're not having to train me how to use the system for the first hour or whatever. But then again, with the associates, I have, like, I'm looking at it now, I've got a spreadsheet of, you know, each associate and who they've worked for before, what networks have they been under, what software have they used, what experience. Because if I'm talking to a client and they tell me they use 360.net, for example, I'm thinking, right, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, I've got 5 associates who've dealt with that system before. And then, you know, I'm already sort of thinking who I'm going to pair people with based on who's got the most experience suited to their needs.
Well organised then, like you say, Steph. Well organised. No wonder you're so very good on the admin side of this business. So you have to be given that. So, but it does sound like, I think a lot of brokers struggle with one CRM system, never mind having to deal with numerous ones. And I know with Concert, it has firsthand with Openwork and Concert, and I know how adaptable a lot of firms within Openwork have been to with Concert. And you're sort of, I'm guess, dealing with the ones that are putting their head in the sand a little bit, going, right, Steph knows what she's doing with it.
And it's just very time consuming, that's all. I think, you know, as I say, it's not necessarily overly complicated. It just can take, it takes a considerable amount of time. So if you've got, you know, 6 applications on your desk that you've submitted or whatever, then you don't want to be spending an hour and a half keying something onto the back office system when you could be, you know, going out and seeing another client for an hour or whatever. So yeah.
Does any of your clients ask you to get involved with any clients? Do you have any contact with?
Yeah, sometimes, usually just like chasing documentation and stuff. So if we've submitted the application and uploaded the documents, you know, that usually the advisor will provide us with like payslips, bank statements, and ID, or the usual. But then, you know, they'll probably ask us to keep an eye on the case. So maybe check in with the lender, go on the portal or whatever online once a week or something, just to see if it's progressing. And then it may be that the underwriters picked up the case and said, okay, we need, I don't know, another 3 months bank statements or whatever, further documentation. So then it depends. Some clients don't want us to contact their clients. They just want to do it themselves and they just want us to update them. But most will say, oh yeah, if you could just give the client a call or drop them an email and just ask them to send over the documentation. Sometimes it's, again, everyone's different. So some advisors want us to chase lenders to the point of offer and then stop. Others want us to keep going once the offer's there and chase solicitors for conveyancing updates. So then again, there's a lot of interaction with the client, just updating them on things that the solicitor might be waiting for that's outstanding. So it's a real mixed bag. We do get a lot of people also asking us to do like compliance admin file checks. So, you know, they might be having a few fails come through from their compliance team, and so they'll give us a, you know, their network's compliance checklist and just say, well, could you know, go through that. It's just an extra pair of eyes to cast over the case to do a full file check before it goes to the compliance team to try and, you know, stop any fails through the net. So wow. It's a real mixed bag. Some people have us doing protection illustrations and it's just whatever you need help with, really. So we just bill on an hourly basis. So we use a time tracking software tool. So we just basically set the timer running when we're doing whatever we're doing. So at the end of each month, when the client gets their invoice, they'll also get a covering statement that's detailed, showing to the second how long we've spent on each task. Just reassures them and builds trust, so they know we're not billing them for an hour of time. A task that they know takes 20 minutes, for example, they can see exactly what we've done.
That was my next question. Knowing that you do bill by the hour, that was the thing, is how do you sort of, I knew you'd have a process or notes for doing stuff. I've never a doubt in my mind about that, but it was asking you what did you, so it's a time tracking thing then, right? I get that. I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah, so every month the client will get their invoice and a statement that shows exactly what what every second of time has been spent on for the month.
Right. I think, to be honest with you, and that's the good thing about talking to you and exploring a little bit more, is you're getting involved with, I think the beauty of this industry, I'm very process driven. So if you've got a process, working with somebody like you, if you haven't got a process, it would be a nightmare working. It would be a nightmare for you.
I would try and suggest a process. If sometimes you do get clients who are a bit, not that well organized and a bit all over the place, and I'm thinking, right, okay, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work remotely. We need to so I'll make suggestions, and they don't always take them up. But when they do, sometimes they're like, oh God, yeah, I never would have thought to do that. And you try and help them streamline their process a little bit. And then they can be really pleased with that, because if you can shave a few hours off each case, doing it instead of doing it the long way around that they've been doing, if you can show them a shortcut that's just as efficient, and they're usually quite happy with that.
And it is, and like you say, you have to be process driven in the industry, but people don't show you the process. You tend to find that, especially when you're going self-employed or owning your own firm, nobody, unless you've inherited things from a process point of view, nobody will show you that from the network. Nobody's going to sort of say, right, this is the process step, because like you're experiencing, and I know firsthand, every firm's process is so different. It is very, very different.
The firms under the same network, you'd think, would all do things the same, but they don't. So you have to learn everybody's different ways.
No, they don't, Steph. And the thing is with that is, like you said, for you, you've got to have they have to have a process. Then you've got clear, defined tasks and responsibilities, because then if they haven't, you'd be sort of, well, yeah, we don't, can you do a bit of this then, bit of that then? I'm guessing you're going to want to know, right, I'm having it now, the baton's back, I've done that now, the baton's back to you, they do what they need to do, the baton's back to you, they're back to your, so the backwards and forwards, I'm guessing, with regards to that, you just got to be so well process driven, so well organized.
Yeah, and it's just down to clear communication, really. Obviously, remote work only works with crystal clear communication. If it's not absolutely clear exactly what's expected of us, and also when it's expected to be done by. I always say to clients, when you email over a piece of work, whatever it is you're asking us to do, could you please include when you need it to be done by? Because we're not an on-demand service. Sometimes people mistake us for, we're not your PA, because we have multiple clients, and because we work on a retainer basis. We have to be. It's very difficult to manage our time when you've got like 10 clients at the same time, kind of thing. So, where possible, time needs to be booked in, or we have to do things on a first come first serve basis. So if 3 clients email me in the morning with work for me, I'm going to just do it in the fairest way I can do it is first come first serve. But unless, for example, the third person to message me says, I need you to do this because Halifax are pulling the rates at lunchtime, then okay, that's going straight to the top of the pile. You have to prioritize based on the customer needs. But yeah, it's not an on-demand service, but we do always try where possible to do things as soon as we can. If we can do it straight away, we will. But if you're not giving us something till 3:30 in the afternoon, the likelihood is we're probably not going to start it till tomorrow, because we'll already be full of stuff that people have given us that day. So it's just about communicating clearly and everybody singing from the same hymn sheet.
I think, like I said, the thing with that communication is key between you and the people and your clients. So that you've got to make sure that I said. But from a broker point of view and a business point of view, if you've got the beauty of like working with somebody like you is that, and you're going to correct me if I'm wrong, but there's ultimate bits of the role that people hate doing. There's always going to be those bits, and so from a point of view working with you, it's going to be like, well, I enjoy as a broker. Me as a business owner, I can go, right, no, I like this. Oh, I hate that. Right, that's going to Steph. Don't like that. Like that. Don't like that. That's going to Steph. So then it works well that way, because you can focus on what you enjoy doing, not worrying about what. Because the thing is, if you hate something, people, I'm a
Put it off, you put it to the bottom of the pile.
I coach people on this, so like I know I see this day in day out. It's like
Procrastinate.
exactly they just will because it'd be sort of because it's just as a human being that's the natural thing. It's like yeah, I'll put off doing that. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. This is all nice and I like enjoying this. I'm gonna do this. Whereas yeah, so it's either you work with a coach that goes right. You just got to do it. Like this is when you're doing it by this time, and I'm going to check whether you're doing it or not to a certain extent. But for you, it's like it's well, that's part of the process that I don't enjoy doing it. Well, stop procrastinating. Pass it on. Like yeah, pass it on, and then you'll get it back once you've done the bits that you don't like doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which obviously, and that's the thing. And it's how we're not going to talk about cost and stuff like that and things like that because people can reach out to and we'll talk like we'll obviously tag you in and the rest of it with the podcast anyway. But it's what everybody will put a price on different things in terms of what it means to them. So some people will to do social media posts. What's like to do a social media post? Somebody will not pay anybody to do it, just go back, I'll do it myself, take me 2 seconds and I've job done. Whereas somebody will spend so much time thinking about it, worrying about not doing it, they'd rather pay somebody to do it. And that to them will have a cost, a thing that they're price that they're willing to pay for it. It's the same with this. It's like that trade-off that and it's saving, but then the thing is it's saving time. With if you do passing off things that you actually don't like doing, we've already talked about they will put them off, but they'll spend more time worrying in their head about the things that they don't like doing and not getting on with the things that they do like doing because they'll just have that red light in their head going, I know I've still got to do that and I'm not enjoying doing this because I've still got that red light in my head going.
It doubles the time then, doesn't it, of the time that it actually takes. And also, if you think about it, whatever, if you delegate 20 hours worth of work to us in a month, if you use those 20 hours wisely, you could probably earn 10 times the cost of hiring us in those 20 hours you gain back if you're contacting leads and you're selling more protection or going to networking events or getting your name out there. So yeah, the service should more than pay for itself if it's used efficiently.
And I think, and the other thing of that, Steph, is that it's about if you are self-employed and work-life balance is important to you, it's that trade-off as well. So it's not just looking at from a business generation point of view, if you're paying for it from a physical pound note point of view, it's actually
a long weekend away without worrying. I mean, obviously you're not going to be able to do everything in your business, but you can know at least part of it is still ticking over in your absence. You're not going to come back to a big pile of work that you've left for days. So.
Exactly. No, definitely. And like I said, I don't want to talk about it is very much personal to that individual firm, to you in terms of what they're prepared to pay in terms of that trade-off with saving that time or using that time wisely and things like that. But so is anything else still? I think we've covered so much and we've been non-agenda going on for 35 minutes. And I think we've talked about obviously you and your background and the benefit of understanding why you got into this and understand the benefits of working with you because you understand the other side of the fence. We understand in terms of what you do and how ad hoc. It's pretty ad hoc, isn't it? In terms of it's bespoke to that individual.
Yeah, I mean, I did used to offer when it was just me. I was offering the clients an option of retainer or ad hoc basis because people are understandably wary coming on board. I get that, they've never outsourced before. They don't know how it's going to work and they don't really want to commit. So when it was just me, I would offer an ad hoc service, as in they can just give me work. And if I've got time to do it, I will, but they have to understand that my retainer clients take priority because, they paid 50% upfront for however many hours they want in the month and then remaining 50% at the end of the month. So that upfront payment guarantees my availability. It acts like a deposit. When I first started passing work to the associates, I was trying to carry on that basis of ad hoc and retainer, but it's just become impossible. I can't manage a team. I know when I'm free to do ad hoc work because I know my own schedule and availability, but I can't I can't run a team of people who don't have set hours, and they're other freelancers and they've got other responsibilities as well. So we tried it, it didn't work. So now everything is retainer only, with a minimum requirement of 10 hours a month. And I feel like if you don't even need 10 hours a month, you probably don't need our help, really, to me. But what I do say is that for the first 2 months, there's no tie-in. So it is a retainer, but you don't normally, the contract says you have to give us a month's notice if you want to terminate. But within those first 2 months, if you're not happy for any reason or you don't think it's working, you can just walk away. You don't have to give us the month's notice. So I just feel like that was a fair way to sort of, because having the retainer allows us to plan our time. We know what's expected of us. And if someone comes on board and they only want to commit to the minimum 10 hours, but it actually turns out that they need 20 hours a month, if we've got the availability, we'll do as many hours as they need us to, as long as the client understands that we're only guaranteed to be available for the 10 hours that they've retained. But if in months 1 and 2 they used 25 hours in month 1 and 20 hours in month 2, then we always review going into month 3. Okay, look, you've consistently used at least 20 hours, so let's put you on a 20-hour a month retainer, and this is when your tie-in starts. But that's not until month 3. That's giving them enough time to sort of get a feel for it, see how happy they are with the service. And
it makes sense. I think that's very fair. I think that's and it gives you that stability that you need as a business and as an individual, and it gives the firm that stability as well, knowing that, because you need to. It's no point having somebody that's there to help and support them like you do, but then you haven't got those guarantees, so your business is not on the solid foundation.
So what we were finding was people were saying, oh yeah, okay, well, I'll start on ad hoc when I estimate I'm going to need 20 hours a month. I mean, okay, so I give it to the associate, and then because that client hasn't committed to anything, for whatever reason, they weren't either giving us anything, or they might give us 2 hours, not 20. And then I'm offering the associate another client, and she's saying to me, well, no, because if client 1 does need 20 hours, I can't do 40 hours for client 2. But then client 1 wasn't doing any hours, so we're just turning away work unnecessarily. So I said, no, we need to be able to plan. We need to know what's expected. So we tried, again, it's all adapting and learning, isn't it, as we go, and evolving with the business. But yeah, we tried it on ad hoc. It didn't work. So it's retainer only now.
Well, I say you just have to evolve as a business, don't you? Work into your advantage, and that's good news that you are in that situation. That's a good situation to have to deal with. So, Steph, if I'm sort of listening to this podcast thinking I want to understand more about business and look about from your business, understanding more about how you can help and support my business from the freelance administrator point of view, what's the best way to reach out to, best way to contact you?
Yeah, best to message me on LinkedIn. It's Stephanie Leather. You'll be able to find me quite easily on there. In my contact info of LinkedIn is all my details. Got my phone number, email, link tree, everything. So yeah, just get onto my LinkedIn. It's probably best. All my business usually comes to me through LinkedIn messages anyway. So that's where I do all my marketing.
Fine. So, but I'll make sure that you're tagged into this as well, and all your contact details are on the notes of the show anyway, so that's absolutely fine.
And there's a contact page on my website as well. So
okay, excellent. Steph, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for agreeing to come on the podcast. No, it's been good. It's been great, and it's been good to explore more about you and your background, and also as well about the way that like your values and the way you are as an individual and the way that your business is. So no, I really appreciate that, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks very much.
Thank you for listening to this week's Mortgage Broker Broadcast, and thank you to my guest, Steph Leather. I think it was great to get Steph onto the podcast to talk about her business, talk about what she does. I'm sure you agree, there's big benefits there for the right businesses and for the right mortgage brokers in terms of freelance admin support rather than doing it yourself or employing somebody to do it. So yeah, and I think it's good to get somebody that's been a mortgage broker and understands that aspect of the business as well. So yeah, thanks, Steph, for that. Any comments, feedback on the podcast, then just put them in the chat and put them in the notes from whatever platform you listen to the podcast, and we'll respond. And yeah, any other comments, any of the topics you want me to talk about on the podcast, please let me know. If you do enjoy the Mortgage Broker Broadcast, we want to get out to as many mortgage brokers as we possibly can. One way that we can do that is by you reviewing and rating the podcast. So if you can do that on whatever platform, again, you listen to the podcast or watch the podcast, that would be amazing. And as always, make sure you run your own race.